Welcome to the Press Start podcast, Press Start Australia's weekly video game discussion podcast, brought to you today by SteelSeries and their new range of Alias mics. They're mics made for gamers, and a big shout out for them to continue in supporting the show. I'm your host, Ewan, joined today by my fellow gamers and co-hosts, Brody.
Hello.
Kieran.
Hello.
James.
Hello.
And Shannon.
Hello.
It is the final show of the year. We've made it through another one. We are going to be discussing news a bunch this week. So I guess we'll talk about our personal games of the year once we've been able to digest Press Start's game of the years. Does that sound like a fair way to organize it, Brody? You run our game of the year picks.
Sure.
Happy
you
with
run
that?
the podcast though, Ewan, so you tell me. It sounds like it. Sounds like we'll come back to it.
Yeah, I felt like it'd be good to kind of talk about it within the context of Press Start's picks. So that'll be a way to kick off next year. And I'm sure we'll talk about the year ahead in that episode as well. On the show today, though, we're going to be talking about The Last of Us Online getting cancelled, the latest in PS5 Pro rumors, and the Death Stranding movie that's in the works. But first, we would be amiss not to talk about all of these Insomniac leaks that are happening at the moment. Obviously, they were the target of a hacker group earlier last week. The group behind the ransomware attack have now published the stolen documents online, revealing a ton of information about Insomniac's upcoming games and a ton of other things as well. It really is just an insane amount of information that's kind of appearing in the dark recesses of the internet now. Kieran, I'm going to start with you first today. Oh my God, I've caught you by surprise. I'm so sorry. I'm going to start with you because obviously you started tackling some of this news today, and I think you were quite sensitive in your approach, given the way in which this information has obviously all come to light. As games media, what is your sentiment towards the manner in which this information has emerged?
Oh, I mean, like abhorrent the way that this has been done, obviously. Not just because Insomniac's had so much critical insider information leaked, but like personal data as well. Yeah. Like employee passports, like their financial information, like stuff that's going to ruin people's jobs, essentially. I think, yeah, as important as it is, like as exciting as it is for stuff like this to come out and people to get glimpses of things they probably wouldn't have seen otherwise. It's definitely important to recognize like the human cost that comes with big information leaks like this. I think like it's one thing, like GTA 6 obviously just happened and that was a massive leak as well, but it's one thing to have your marketing beat put out a few hours early versus have your company's entire like personal database leaked.
Yeah. And like, you know, not just like, I guess we're kind of talking around the kind of information that has emerged. But like, you know, not potentially just one future announcement, but the next 10 years worth kind of laid bare for all to see is real rough. Like all the planning and preparation that kind of goes into making that special is, I do feel for people that have put tremendous amounts of work into it for sure.
Absolutely.
Shannon, how about you? How do you sort of feel about all this? And do you think it's fair for people to kind of have a bit of a curiosity into like what information has kind of come to light and to go seek it out?
I think so. As humans, we are curious beings, aren't we, Ewan? So it's only natural that something like this would cause a lot of interest. Like these are huge properties. Like it's not just random IPs that no one's ever heard of. Like obviously they're some of the biggest IPs in the world. So it's a tough one because it's not great, but like it's entertainment and video games at the end of the day. So people are going to want the information. I don't know what to say. It's a tough one.
I think for like the purposes, like for our purposes, we kind of do need to have that ear to the ground, and like it would be silly for us to kind of talk about things in the podcast or like, you know, make predictions about what's going to happen next year, totally ignorant of like what has kind of come to light now. So I think we're kind of in unique positions for it. But like, you know, if you wanna kind of, you know, see a trailer in future and be excited and get to kind of see things the way that it was intended, and I guess kind of not see things before they're really ready to be presented, and you kind of, I think there is kind of a matter of ethics kind of in
Yeah,
it.
I don't
maybe
think
do
there's
stick with
really much
it, but
harm.
good luck.
Like I don't think it's that bad from that point of view. Like the unfinished footage and stuff. Like obviously, Insomniac would rather present it how they want from a marketing point of view, but like no one's seeing. Oh well, I don't want to say nobody because gamers are gamers, but like yeah, no one's gonna see this footage or the GTA footage and think, oh, I'm not gonna buy that because it looks like stick figures running in a block world. And similarly for like all the reveals, like yeah, it is a shame, but like it doesn't really change anything in the scope of things. Like it's not as if the game has leaked in full online and people are able to play it in a state years early or whatever. Like it is what it is. It's the personal information and like emails and decks, less so like marketing decks. That like they're the things that are probably more hurtful in this rather than just like game titles and gameplay footage and things like that. Which not ideal, but again, it's like entertainment. It's not, I don't know, surveillance data from the FBI. I don't know what would be worse than
it's not people like footage from people's kind of home security cameras and stuff like that.
It might show up. I wouldn't count it out at this point.
Yeah, it's really not a Flash situation at all. I mean, like all of the shittiness aside, like I think seeing some of the internal documents and kind of how these games are like planned and what sort of work kind of goes into it, like pre-production stuff, like it's all rather fascinating to see. But it's kind of, I'd much rather see it all in a documentary kind of post the game's release than via this pretty kind of heinous.
The reality is like I can't think of too many AAA games that haven't leaked in some way before they're announced, whether it being like a retailer leaking it or like something going early. So from that point of view, like most things leak in the gaming industry. Like for whatever reason, like gamers are ravenous for information and things leak one way or another.
I think also there's secrecy there too, though. That's fuels it. I'm not saying that like anyone is at fault because of that.
And the movie industry is very different, right?
Yeah, like I feel like games are so secretive about everything. Even like as an example, like you didn't know who was voicing Mario until the game came out. Do you know what I mean? Like that kind of stuff just doesn't really happen anywhere else. So I think that also kind of fuels the thirst for knowledge, I guess. But then but obviously with this one, like the passport stuff, like why post people's passports? Like I don't see what's purpose that serves. Like I mean, I do. Like they want money because it's ransomware, but yeah.
Brady, how about you? Like, how do you think Insomniac and I guess kind of Sony, PlayStation kind of more broadly respond to an attack like this? Do you think they were kind of right in not paying the ransom?
Well, I guess it depends on whether they understood the scope of what these people had, I guess. Like, obviously they know the value of that information to them as people and as developers. So, I guess ultimately it was their decision to not pay it. So they either knew and they didn't mind, or they didn't know and now it's obviously going to be a problem. So, how they respond to it, I don't know. I don't know if I imagine we'll get, a statement with all the logos on it and saying that they condemn these actions, etc., etc. But, please avoid it because it doesn't reflect the game as it's going to be and it's going to, all that sort of stuff. But, I don't know. It's obviously very unfortunate, but like we say, for us and others, I suppose there's fascinating things in there. Like I probably am interested in things like the marketing decks and things that tell you like budgets of games and sort of things like that and what the returns are, because it's that sort of stuff you don't really get an inside look into, which is always interesting for me. But it's unfortunate, but there's been a lot of these lately, hasn't there? Like, obviously the Xbox one, the GTA one, this now. So
Suicide Squad was in the news this week as well. Although that I think is quite an interesting one because it's kind of come about through this closed test that they ran, in which everyone that played it kind of had to sign an NDA to say they wouldn't reveal it, but it was made pretty broadly available. So that one kind of feels like, sadly, it was always going to happen. I just don't trust people well enough to avoid that. But yeah, this one, is a particularly kind of thorny one, I suppose. I think they're right in not paying the ransom, as like obviously that's not paid off well for them. But kind of having a bit of a tangential interest in this sort of things, kind of cybersecurity experts kind of typically advocate for people not to pay ransoms because it just incentivizes ransomware groups like this to carry out this sort of work, knowing that, half the time, if not more, people are just going to pay the money. So I'm pleased that they didn't pay however many millions in Bitcoins that they were asking for. But obviously it's kind of carried some repercussions.
Yeah. Do we know if everything is out there, or do these people still have...
I think it was like 98% or something of what they claim to have they've released. Yeah, is that right, Ken?
Hopefully is not too damning.
Well, yeah. I think you'd be worrying what that 2% is based on what's already out there.
Indeed.
The home surveillance footage.
Yeah.
The what?
The home surveillance footage.
Yeah, apparently there's like playable PC builds of games as well. So obviously that's when it maybe starts getting a little bit worse. Like, I'm assuming it's not like the whole game, but like if major slices of games are like playable by people, obviously that's like less ideal. But again, like I was going to say, I think we're like very in this, but like most gamers like aren't. Like most gamers would have never have seen like the GTA 6 leaks, and like I'm sure won't have ever heard of these by the time these games are revealed. So it's not to say that makes it any better, but like we're very much in an echo chamber of like people talking about this stuff. A lot of people will be none the wiser.
Yeah, I think that's very right.
Insomniac knows that
games
as well.
are they're mainstream appeal sort of games. So I'm sure you're spot on. And to that point as well, like, and you said it earlier as well, Shannon, that like this won't damage or negatively impact the success of these games in any way. And like, if anything, and again, this is not an endorsement to go out and seek out any of the footage that's appeared, but like, I was excited about what I saw, which is gonna definitely be taken the wrong way and encourage people to go and look it up. Don't do that. But yeah, like I have so much faith in Insomniac, and I've got no doubt that what is to come when they're ready to share it is going to be phenomenal. So.
I will say, like, I don't think you're a bad person or like morally corrupt if you consume this stuff or like you see it. It's on the internet, like you didn't hack the servers. Again, like, yeah, I don't know. It's hard because there's personal information, and obviously that's very different to like looking at logos and gameplay. So yeah, that part is hard, but yeah, I don't know. The internet.
I also think if you're on Twitter this week, like it's going to be hard to avoid. Like,
yeah, exactly.
If you're on Reddit, bad luck. Yeah. A word of warning. And I guess like word of warning to the people who are trying to avoid Suicide Squad leaks and rumors and stuff as well. Or definitely not rumors. Anyhow. All right, let's move on and talk about The Last of Us Online getting cancelled in what was rather shocking news this week. Naughty Dog revealed they were stopping development on The Last of Us Online, opting to, quote, focus on single-player games rather than solely live service games. Brody, I'm going to come to you first on this one. Do you think this was the right decision?
Oh, who's to say? I mean... Bungie say yes, PlayStation say yes. There's one particular Naughty Dog employee who thinks that what they had was the most fun multiplayer game ever, better than anything on the market. So I don't know if you believe that.
I paid him to say that.
Yeah, if you believe that, then maybe we don't know what we're missing. But if what they say is right and the game wasn't in a state where they could find the fun or find the live service aspect of it that would give it longevity, then yeah, maybe it is the right call, and maybe they try and spin these assets and the ideas off into something else that they can tack onto The Last of Us 3 when it comes out in 2029 or something like that. But yeah. My heart goes out to you that happens. It really does.
Like, Kieran, do you think there's any chance we see any of this like see light of day in any capacity?
I don't know, because like you and I were talking about it. It's just strange that they like it makes sense to me that Naughty Dog are focusing on what they're good at. Like that part of it makes total sense. But just straight up like axing this and not, giving it to another studio or like seeing what you can do with it, just coming out and publicly being like, we're abandoning this, seems like a very like drastic decision, I guess.
Yeah.
So, I don't know.
I wondered, and this is definitely like me getting away from myself, but I kind of wondered if when Naughty Dog said that they weren't developing it anymore, if they had kind of palmed it off to another like developer. Just definitely wishful thinking, because I don't feel
Ben
like Naughty
Studios
Dog
pop up and they're
in their
surprise
right mind
bitches.
would let anyone else like touch the Last of Us IP. Obviously, they've let people touch Uncharted. Maybe they're open to it, but and Jack and Daxter perhaps. But yeah, I'd struggle to see them kind of not being involved. James, what happened to the days when multiplayer games could just be multiplayer games and not have a live service component, where they had like a finite shelf life? You maybe played it for 6 months and moved on. Does that just not exist anymore?
I mean, obviously not, but like, I think it's fine that they don't want to do that, because I agree. Like, I don't know. I think multiplayer games, like, you don't want them to be a flash in the pan, because they only are as good as they need to have a big player base to be successful, right?
Yeah.
For most of them. So like, the live service is probably the easiest way to keep people engaged. But there's been so much blowback against that now that they've probably seen that. I think it's the right choice. Like, I know that you wouldn't really want to play it, but I don't like I don't know.
That's 20% of the population if, we treat the 5 of us as a sample size.
Very very good sample size too. But yeah, I don't know. I think of the times when like BioShock 2 had multiplayer, and like Prey, the first Prey on 360 had multiplayer, and like just all these games.
Assassin's
like
Creed
some,
2.
So yeah,
yeah.
I was about to say Assassin's Creed was good. I really enjoyed that. But
BioShock
the other
2
ones
was
I
good.
just I don't know.
It was fine. It was fine.
Factions was also good. I'm just going to throw it
Yeah.
out there.
Yeah, well, not
And they
good
turned the
enough to
servers on,
come out again.
on this year as well. And
Well, there you go. You can go play
people
that.
jump
Ewan.
back in on
Now you
it.
know why, because this was never
Is everyone
happening.
still playing? Yeah,
Yeah.
maybe that's why.
I
don't know.
agree with
I think-
James. Like, yeah,
Like,
if it
I-
wasn't great, just cancel it. I think it's fine.
Literally, like, rather than like damage the brand with like shit, like Reverse or something, like just leave it.
Let's not
to
go
die.
crazy now. I'm sure there's a bit of a gap between the two.
Well, Reverse released, so
To what end?
It made it true.
Yeah.
yeah. I don't know.
yeah.
I know what you mean, Ewan, but like I think it's important for a multiplayer game to have legs, and I don't think they could see. It's basically what they said is they couldn't kind of justify putting time into this for X amount of years versus taking away from other stuff that would come out, right? Like I hardly think that's a bad thing. I think that's actually quite smart of them.
What you were saying, Ewan, and this isn't to give you hope, like maybe when The Last of Us Part 3 does come out, they will use some of these ideas and like just tack it in as a multiplayer edition. I feel like that, again though, like you can risk having crappy reviews from having a bad multiplayer section. I can't like see people pinging it for that, but like it is, yeah, maybe they will give back to the fans in that way. Like when the next game comes along, they'll just tack it onto that as in a smaller mode or something that doesn't need to be continually updated. That would be cool.
Yeah, I just think that like if you've got a strong enough loop, and like a couple of good modes and some good maps and stuff, that there is a lot of replayability there without there being new skins coming out and major changes to the map and all of this. Like, I mean, for the longest time, that was what Call of Duty was. Like, I remember map packs getting introduced, and that seemed like a kind of radical step. And now it's this kind of big evolving thing. But for the longest time, it was you got the new Call of Duty and you played the same multiplayer modes, the same maps. You probably stuck with the same gun for a good 12 months until the new one came out. And I kind of think that, like, they could have achieved something. I mean, maybe not. A comparison to Call of Duty isn't kind of fair in the scale and success of that game. But, like, I think they could have had a loop and sort of gameplay mechanics that kept people coming back even without major changes, like new battle passes and stuff.
I think because The Last of Us has that sort of mainstream appeal now after HBO, like there would have been like a Fortnite Call of Duty crowd that would have potentially played this. But again, it's like that double-edged sword where it either flops or you then have to support it for like 5 years wholeheartedly. Like there's no in-between with live service. So I don't know. I don't think it would have been a good situation either way.
And I suppose like maybe we talk about kind of losing touch. Maybe I'm kind of out of touch. You're right, Shannon. The mainstream audience is that's just not what they expect before. And maybe we only need to look so far as Halo Infinite to kind of see that playing out, because that kind of, I guess, like broke from the mold of what a typical kind of Halo multiplayer game was, and tried to adapt to that modern sensibility and failed to, because it just took too long for more content to come out.
I think a good one to call out is Multiverses, because that had like a huge start, was a great game, and then literally like just died overnight, like weeks or months after launch, and that's coming back. But like that just shows that like you can have 20 million people playing a game 1 week and then literally nothing a few weeks later or a few months later, like whatever it is. Like it's just such a fickle market at the moment.
Just quickly before we move on then, Naughty Dog confirmed that they had more than one ambitious brand new single player game that they were working on. Kieran, do you have any inkling of what it might be, or a wish list of sorts?
Oh, I mean, wish list would definitely be another Jack and Daxter. But I think like ages ago, the rumor was something to do with a sci-fi like new IP. I can't remember where that came from or what the context of that was, but I'd love to see something like that from them. Like
they're remaking Starfield,
breaking away completely. Yeah, I'd be down for something completely off-brand from what they've done before.
Yeah, that would be interesting. I guess I've grown like really accustomed to these like quite character focused, quite grounded sort of things, even in kind of post-apocalyptic settings. But like even Uncharted was kind of a bit more, it wasn't a Lombax in space. Hang on, that's Insomniac. It wasn't a time/dimension traveling dark eco-fueled guy. It would be cool to see them kind of get a bit further afield again, I suppose. All right, before we move on, I want to tell you more about these new SteelSeries mics that we're using. Less new now. We've been using them on the podcast for a good little while. We're big fans of them, as we are all SteelSeries stuff. These were super easy to get all set up and use each and every week, but keep us sounding good with their broadcast quality audio. There's 2 mics in the range. I think a lot of us are using the Alias, but Shannon has the Alias Pro, which has an XLR connection, plugs into a fancy little DAC. But the Alias itself is USB-C connection. It's a plug-and-say sort of approach. Hooks up to SteelSeries' Sonar AI system, hooks into SteelSeries GG, which I'm a big fan of, with the bunch of SteelSeries peripherals I have. It's so nice to be able to use one piece of software to manage it all. But massive thanks to SteelSeries for, again, supporting the show. The next topic, kind of very PlayStation-centric show today. Some rumors have emerged regarding a potential PlayStation Pro. I feel like we're talking about this all the time, but this news is particularly interesting. On his podcast, Game Mess, Jeff Grubb stated he believed the console to almost certainly be real and would include Sony's own frame reconstruction/generation technology, not unlike NVIDIA's DLSS. Shannon, we've spoken a little bit about this before, but for those that aren't kind of familiar with DLSS and how it works on PCs, like what impact could this have in the context of PlayStation, and I suppose it being their own hardware rather than borrowing from NVIDIA and AMD?
Yeah, so I saw something online that said like if they used FSR, which is like open source, like it's AMD's version of DLSS, that there wouldn't be much of a benefit with the chipsets these have, which is why it's likely they're like building their own model. But what this would do is like use AI up to upscale imagery, so it'd be rendering natively at a lower resolution, probably even lower than what we have now, and then upscaling it using AI to like a 4K image that's not true 4K, but like to the naked eye you wouldn't be able to tell a difference. But yeah, I'm not like super versed in the technology, and I don't know how Sony would do it. I think on PC we've seen Insomniac's games use like a version of their own DLSS as an option. Yeah.
The dogs sound excited about it though. James, do you think there's a good chance the console will be out by this time next year?
Yes, I do.
Yeah. Just our resident
Absolutely.
Jeff Grubb in the house.
No, I don't.
Jim Grubb.
Can you see Xbox kind of following suit as well, and us having kind of a mid-gen upgrade here in December 2024?
I kind of hope so, if only because I can't help but feel that they'll get left behind if developers are making stuff for PlayStation 5 Pro. But then I don't. They're in a weird position too, because obviously you've still got the Series S as well to kind of work for. Like, I don't know if that gap is going to grow as time goes by, but. Yeah,
already that kind of divide has proved a bit of an issue. Maybe it doesn't help them to make it even wider.
I don't know. It's hard to say, like, for sure, but I do think. But then maybe and then you've got Nintendo obviously as well. Maybe it's just all going to be a bit of a schmozzle.
Yeah,
at this
I have to
point.
think,
Like,
and I know we've said it before, but surely we get a new Switch next year as well. Especially given like how few games are kind of on the cards.
Just to jump in quickly, apparently Xbox is not doing mid-gen, and I think they're releasing in 2026.
That's what was said in Grub's podcast. Yeah, that they were gonna like respond to this by like skipping the mid-gen refresh and bringing forward the release of the next one.
Yeah, and that matches the document that sort of said the console coming next year was just an upgrade without any performance increases. So that will be interesting. I don't know if there's ever been like, it's not going to be a big difference, and I don't think it's actually going to.
Was like marginally more powerful than the PS5 as it was, right? And like I know we're kind of splitting hairs at that point and reopening old wounds.
Yeah, it's not going to change development. I don't think, and it'll primarily be like Sony's first-party titles and like some marketing exclusives like Final Fantasy, etc. That take advantage of it. I don't think every game will. So I don't think it's going to be that crazy.
I can imagine it just being a bit of a performance improvement.
Yeah,
as
like
well,
10%,
which I guess like
20%.
was the crack with the PS4 Pro as well. But like, you know, maybe you can kind of switch to fidelity mode on Alan Wake 2 or whatever, and you just get like a slightly higher frame rate or something. Or maybe it, for certain games, adds another kind of graphics option that makes use of that upscaling. That's pretty much, you know, how it works in the PC space anyhow. Like, you fire up the game and you can enable that setting and cycle through a couple of different presets that adjust the resolution at which it's scaling up from. Brody, how do you feel? Like, do you have any appetite for a mid-gen console upgrade? I guess your track record with making use of new technology PlayStation have put out isn't great.
Yeah. Look, if it's going to be sort of very small improvements, like Shannon's suggesting, like maybe 10, 20%, that sort of thing, probably not. Like, I'd sooner maybe just wait until either my PlayStation dies or the next gen rolls around. Yeah. It'd have to be something a bit more than performance. Like, there'd have to be something new, even though that would like segment the generation, basically.
Yeah. I would take an upgrade to the DualSense controllers that prevented stick drift from happening as readily as it does. I swear I've had like 2 or 3 controllers just all in the space of like a month all have stick drift issues, and it's just such a pain in the ass. But anyhow, I can't see that changing anytime soon.
You need an edge, mate.
An edge, maybe. It's expensive though, isn't it, Shannon?
If it's happening to you that rapidly, then yeah, exactly.
It's very fair.
Christmas is coming up. I'll send him a message.
All right, moving on. After originally announcing that the live-action Death Stranding movie was in development with Hammerstone Studios, it has now been revealed that A24, the company behind Everything Everywhere All at Once, Talk to Me, and Uncut Gems, Midsummer, to name a few, has partnered with Hideo Kojima to develop the film. Brody, I might come straight back to you because I know you and I love talking movies, and specifically A24 movies. What does this do for your level of excitement around a Death Stranding film?
Yeah, it's exciting. Like, just as I love Devolver specifically for games, like I love A24 for movies. I just feel like they take a lot of risks and do a lot of like really interesting things. Like, I only saw Talk to Me recently, and I love that.
What a movie.
So yeah, I think it's a good fit. Obviously, you'll get to it shortly, but I'm curious to see how they would approach who directs it. Like, I'd almost imagine, like, I think Kojima has expressed interest in doing films, so I'd be surprised if he doesn't maybe tackle it himself almost. But
yeah, well, we can jump straight there. I know it was later in my show notes, but yeah, he's obviously said that he isn't going to be taking up directorial duties, but he is going to be kind of working closely on the film. Do you have any kind of preferences as to who would direct it and what kind of role Kojima then has?
Who directs some weird stuff? You got like Cronenberg, the Daniels. Obviously, the Daniels who did everything everywhere all at once.
Daniels doing an approach on that would be insane.
Yeah, that'd be something. Even looking at Uncut Gems, like the Safdies, they do some cool stuff as well. A bit more grounded, not really in this sort of realm, I wouldn't have thought. But yeah, I mean, and
Shannon's
obviously,
I have no idea what you're talking about.
I'm only just thinking of Uncut Gems. That's all that's happening in my head.
yeah, look, as long as Kojima's there to sort of, manage all the pieces, I'm sure it'll all lock into place.
In my mind, this is a film and a property made for Alex Garland. And
that was going to be my suggestion.
Yeah, I just feel like that would be such a good pairing, given how the kind of tone of Annihilation or Men, like the kind of unnerving creepiness of it. But
you've also got two directors in the cast. You've got Nicholas Winding Refn and you've got Guillermo del Toro. I mean, it might just be a big collaboration.
Well, I tweeted
Kojima
this
and
week.
friends.
I kind of really hope that OD or Overdose is kind of just like this anthology series where he works with his favorite horror directors. Like, given Ari Aster's been at the studio as well and worked with the Filippo brothers, I think it is, the two Australians that directed Talk to Me. It could be really cool. Anyhow, I'm trying to think if I had any more questions about Death Stranding adaptation. James, do you have thoughts, feelings, opinions on this? I imagine you would be excited by this news.
I don't know if I'm excited. I think it works as a game for very specific reasons. Like I don't think you could. I don't know if you could replicate that as a movie, but I'm sure they have an idea. I think they've already said that it's a story in the world, not like the story of the game.
Yeah,
someone has said that. I think someone who's involved. But yeah, I'm keen to see it when it eventuates, but a little bit too early for me to be excited yet.
I just sent a link into our group chat of the A24 Kojima Productions Death Stranding logo tee, which I wish I'd known about before it sold out. But alas. All right, I have a rapid fire question for you all. Fortnite Festival may bring back the return of Rock Band's classic plastic guitar controllers. They've come out and said it is a top priority to support both the legacy peripherals that are out there, but potentially a new release of them as well. My rapid fire question for you all is, do you have any still lying around? And if not, would you consider buying a plastic game guitar controller in the year 2024? Shannon, let's start with you.
Maybe DJ Hero. I think that's the only one I owned, but maybe I would have owned Guitar Hero, but definitely DJ Hero was the one I played the most. So maybe that, if they bring the decks back.
How did I not know this about you? This is fascinating.
James?
You weren't even born at that time, I would say.
I actually threw out my drums from Band Hero last year.
No.
I was holding on to them for some reason. I was like, someone want to play it someday.
For today.
Did you sell them or did you?
No, they were
toss them?
fucked. It was
They had
saving
no
them.
resale value either.
Yeah, they were foul. I've actually got the Rock Band 3 keyboard guitar thing
the Pro keyboard.
in my cupboard.
Give it a whirl right now, live on the pod.
No, I won't be doing that.
It doubles as a MIDI keyboard, so it's handy.
Well, I didn't play the game or start to play piano, so neither of really went well.
Just workshopping PAX panel ideas now. Maybe we form an Olivia Rodrigo tribute band. That's a panel.
Well, I can be the front man. I'll be on vocals.
Yeah.
I don't know how I feel about any of that.
Shannon's hidden talent, his vocals. Kieran, surely you've got a guitar kicking about.
Nah, not anymore. I think the only thing I've still got is Drop Mix, which was Harmonix did a physical precursor to Fuser, where it was you could mix songs by putting different cards on this board. It's like one of those Yu-Gi-Oh boards, but you put cards on it and it would mix different samples. Anyway, I think that's the only thing I've still got.
Well,
but I
that's
would
very dynamic.
I would definitely purchase more.
You would purchase a new one?
Oh, absolutely.
Wow. You're a psychopath. Brody?
Yeah, Yeah, I've had shitloads of these things hanging around. I thought I had one in here, but maybe I don't. But would I buy another one? I think it needs it because it's awful to play with the controller, in my opinion. But shit, where's it end? Just give us a Rock Band. Fuck.
I think this is probably as close as you're going to get anytime soon. It's good. Have you played it, Brody?
It's awful to play with the control, and it's all fucking top 40 shit. I don't care.
I'm kind of surprised they didn't just, I don't know. I suppose it speaks to what we were talking about a few weeks ago. Like maybe they're just sussing it out before they go fully into these modes. But yeah, I don't know.
Weirdly, it's kind of become a bit of like, and I say this like it's a real regular thing. It's probably happened like 3 times, if that. But it's become like a bit of a warm up for like a gaming night. You know, I'll jump on and just play a couple of the new songs that have been added. And we played some Lego Fortnite the other day, and we played a couple of songs beforehand whilst we were waiting for people to join the lobby. Like it's
cute.
It's good.
Then finishing with some Resident Evil.
Yeah, some cooperative Resident Evil. All right, now is the time that everyone's been waiting for. It is What the Wiki, the pressed up podcast game show where the previous week's winner reads part of a Wikipedia page for an unknown game, and we, the contestants, must guess the game. A point is awarded for each correct guess, with the round coming to a conclusion after someone's backed themselves 2 points. Currently in the lead on this here, the final episode of the season, it is Brody on 36 points. James on 35, Shannon on 31, myself and Kieran on 28 points, and Harry and James, I'll be bringing up the rear with 1 point apiece. So how does that play things out? Brody, you were last week's winner, so you are in the hosting chair today. So you need James to not
win,
score
basically.
any points. I don't know what we're going to do if James scores 1 point and it's tied. We might need to like...
Look, I did have a good opportunity to rig this, but I think I've been pretty fair. I've been pretty fair.
I feel like it's hard to do.
I think
James
in that
surprises
case,
you with the games
you would just do it.
Pick one.
No,
Pick
you
a
would
game
do another
that
round.
names.
I think live after this
Oh, wow.
with random game generator. So
Stressful.
Yeah.
that's not going to
I
happen.
think that's-
James is
no,
going to clean
probably.
sweep it now.
James will win by
Possibly.
2 points because you'll get 3.
Exactly.
Yeah, so that's kind of what Kieran and myself need to do to get a podium spot. We need a clean sweep, but that would just put us tied third. So, yeah, it's
Right.
that's it. That's the state of play. Brody, take it away.
Well, good luck, everybody. All right. The first game. Combat features a wide array of weapons common during the Boshin War, such as katanas and various Boshin War firearms. The game features story choices at key moments in the game, allowing players to step or fight against various non-player characters affecting the story. Ewan.
Is this Ghost of Tsushima?
It's not. Okay. Set in Edo, is it Edo? In the late 19th century during Bakumatsu, the final years of the Edo
Let me know when I
period.
can buzz back in.
Well, technically you guessed at the end of
Shannon.
the last one, so you can. We'll go to Shannon first.
No, I don't know. I don't know the name.
Okay,
It's-
well
what is this?
that's not correct.
I don't want to say. I think I know it, but I don't want to butcher it and then come
James.
across as not nice.
Are you
No,
going
What's
to have
the
a go?
cue?
Trials of. No, track to.
Oh,
James.
Oh,
James. Shannon, are you done?
yes.
Okay, James.
Is it track to Yomi Brody?
It's not.
Good.
Ewan.
can I get? Is it Rise of Ronin? Rise of the Ronin?
Yeah,
Rise of-
look, it's Rise of the Ronin. I will pay that.
Wow.
Well done. Well done, Ewan.
Clean sweep time.
It'd be
He's coming
so
to the podium
Ewan to
spot.
foil this win. It'd be, James is going to hold it against you for a full 12 months. I'm ready for it.
Okay, Ewan on 1.
Oh, you're quick to jump yourself up there. Oh, no.
Sorry?
I'm just
Oh,
keeping the
he's-
score updated. He's watching the show notes. Watch me edit them.
Okay. As with the original game, the protagonist is a high school student returning to his home city a decade after his parents were killed in a fatal car crash. He soon gains the potential to summon something and joins something, a group of like-minded something users.
Shannon.
Shannon.
Life is Strange too.
No.
No, Ewan.
Ewan.
Oh no, fuck, no.
Imagine if
Okay,
you and-
Psychonauts 2 is what I was going to say, but then
Is that your guess? Or
yes,
what?
it is. Yeah.
Then, no, you're out. James?
Is it Persona 3 Reload?
It is Persona 3 Reload.
Damn,
Wow.
James
Wow,
already
wow.
tied.
Shit.
Huge. All right, James is starting again. I can hear
Yeah,
him
and that
sweating
one was
from here.
targeted for you.
Okay. James on 1. Ewan on 1. Game number 3. Where do I start? When Blank was completed in 2014, the developer had the thought of doing a second season, but they already had committed to other projects. The company was aware of a strong interest in the second season through the intervening years, and they were looking at the right time to develop it.
James.
You went, oh.
James. For
Is
the
it The
win.
Wolf Among Us? 2.
It's not the Wolf of...
Shannon.
Ewan?
Well,
Oh.
he left a massive pause there. And I was
I
about to
knew
say
where he
no.
was going.
So I don't know what to do there. I don't know what to do.
You'd already
You've
said
all
no, I
paid it
feel.
in the past.
Yeah,
But you'd already said
can-
no, though.
Yeah,
No,
I'd already heard
I didn't
Brody
hear him say no. I wouldn't have kept going.
I was
Like,
literally saying no as you said too.
Yeah.
Well, I wasn't looking at you, but
I think it's a
I'm-
new game.
I'm
Can't-
unsure.
We can't have it ending on that.
I'm unsure.
Brody
doesn't feel
is
good.
rather graciously trying to step out of this. I don't feel like that's right toward the point. No.
Okay. If you say so, Ewan. Oh, yeah. I will yield to you.
Only because you were in the process of saying no, or you'd started like you had said no. I
Yeah.
think.
Well,
The
yeah.
time- the
There's a
answer is
massive
done.
pause. I don't know. Yeah. James, if it's any consolation, you will probably get this next one anyway. So we'll return to, for the sanctity of the game,
Okay.
1 point Ewan, 1 point James.
That one's...
Oh, God.
James is like, I'm going to win this despite everything
Yeah,
you throw
this-
at me.
This is tense. We're trying. No.
This is the
really.
first time it's ever been a finish like this. So
Oh,
let's
it's a great season.
Ham it up.
It's a
Milk it
great
for all
season.
it's worth.
I'm going to start this just halfway through this paragraph, so I don't even know who the person they're referring to is here. In February 2012, he elaborated that the game was in development, adding that because of the concept, you can have a game where any of the lead characters can conceivably die and it's not a stunt. Some really cool story could come out of it. The formation of Blank was teased at the end of Blank, developed by WB Games Montreal. Blah, 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 blah. In the years since Blank was released, there have been
Shannon,
Shannon.
Middle Earth, Shadow of War.
Since
Middle
Blank
of
was
War.
released, there have... Sorry?
James. Can I go,
James.
James?
Yeah,
Is it Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League?
it sure
Is
is.
it really?
Well done, James.
Was this game spoken about in 2012?
Apparently
Well,
so.
think about when Arkham Knight came out. It's their new game.
It was first announced by DC Comics in July 2010.
Holy shit.
I'm shocked. Because I was
Shooketh.
thinking about Suicide Squad, but I
Well done,
thought
James.
Surely not. Well done, James. Yes, well done, James. Woo!
Well
I should have
earned.
brought like confetti or something. Pop.
He's got some. He's got some hidden there.
No, I don't know anything around here that's interesting.
He wishes he had his... No, he doesn't. I was about to say... he
You have so
wishes-
many cakes coming in the mail, James. Another year victorious. How many years is that in a row now?
Since I started. So when was that?
Has there ever been a year of What the Wiki that James hasn't won?
Well,
Would you like to say
I'd
a few
to-
words?
No, not really. I'd like to thank... Actually, I don't want to thank anyone. You all tried to do me dirty.
I think you can
If
appreciate
anything, you
the
guilted
situation.
Even
us
while
into
you were
just letting
sick
you
as
win
well.
that one. That
I
last
didn't hear
round.
you all spoke at once. But yes, I'm assuming it was all praise.
Well, I feel like the changes that we made to the game this year were good. I feel like it resulted in a more competitive season.
Did I come third? That's all I'm wanting to know.
You did come third, Shannon. You got a podium finish.
Love
Well
it.
Just
done.
maybe the biggest surprise of this.
There's no
Yeah.
shame in
Whole
coming
season.
third to James and Big Gibby.
No.
Third and
And it was-
second, much of the
was all
same, isn't it?
pretty
Really.
tight as well.
I'm
All
just the
pretty
first loser.
tight. With that, let's bring an end to what was this week's episode of the Press Start podcast. Once again, brought to you by SteelSeries and their new range of Alias microphones. Subscribe to us on Listener or the podcast service of your choice. Follow us at press.au and visit the site at pressstart.com.au. We've been joined today by Shannon.
Yes, you can follow me at Shannon Grixty. Thanks for a great year. Well done, James. Well deserved.
Also joining us today, it was Brody.
Thanks. You can follow me on most things at Brody_DG. And I just want to reiterate as well, well done, James. Great year. Well deserved. Thanks, mate.
Thank you.
Everyone's like...
5 Pete, baby.
Yeah, sucking back up. Also joining us today was Kieran.
Yeah, you can follow me and congratulate James at HASH_BRAUN.
Just turned yourself down that you went quiet for a moment. And taking the crown, it was, of course, James.
Yes, it was. You can find me at exit at James ATJAMZ.
If his microphone had a screen on it, there would be a crown there
Absolutely.
right now.
A shining one. Yeah.
Is that if you could pick the prize that you won for What the Wiki? Because I've never organised one before. But like, would you want a crown? Like,
No, I want like a crystal block with all of your faces in it.
Will acrylic do?
okay, what you mean?
Matching
like,
bed sheets.
Like,
what's the cliff face in Mount Rushmore? Like, you want a Mount Rushmore of the four of us?
yeah, but like with just like congrats, James, like etched on the bottom.
Okay, I'll just take the thumbnail. Should we all pose for it now?
Yeah.
I've been your host, Ewan Roxburgh. You can follow me on socials at Ewan_Roxburgh. Thanks again for tuning in. Merry Christmas, happy holidays, happy New Year, and until next year, happy gaming.
Bye.
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 Bye.